Hey, you guys. Welcome to Talk About It Thursdays. I am your host, Karen Bailey. We'll give everybody just about one more minute to jump on, and then we're going to get started for today. I just want to say thank you to everyone who supports the page. Thank you guys for all the encouragement. And I'll say it again, and I've said it before. You just never know who needs a word from you, who needs some positive motivation from you. I know a lot of times y'all see that you post on the page and you don't see a bunch of likes or whatever, but you'd be amazed at what I can see, how many people actually read those posts, and you'll never know how many people you affect. So when God puts something on your spirit, when you have something you want to share that you feel like it's going to uplift somebody, don't let anything stop you from posting on the page, because you have no idea who needs what you have. And so we have to get out of this being more attracted to likes and people, making comments on our posts. Guys, it's not even about that. All you got to do is plant the seed. And I'm learning that as I'm getting older, the outcome is not up to me. The outcome is up to God. All I have to do is be obedient, plant the seed, give from my heart, speak my truth, and God is going to do the rest. So I encourage you guys, and I thank you guys so much for those of you that participate and that send out the good morning, send out the prayers, send out the words of encouragement. Y'all have lifted my head many a day when I've had a rough time or I was going through something that nobody knew about. So I want y'all to understand, hey Rashida, that it's not about likes, it's not about comments. Post it on the page. We're here to help one another be better. And if you have something on your heart, even if you feel like nobody understands, as long as it's positive, post it on the page, because you never know who else is going through the same thing you're going through. We always think we're the only ones going through something. And you know what? That's what the enemy wants you to think. He wants you by yourself. He wants you to feel isolated, because that way he can play in your mind and he can work on your self-confidence, you guys. So I just want to say thank you to you guys. We are going on, I want to say in August, I want to say we're 5 years strong, you guys. And there's no way I could do that without you guys. Thank y'all for believing in me. Thank y'all for watching the podcast. Thank y'all just for being yourselves and just being real and just being honest. Because this page is for real women. We don't have time to fake and shake. We don't have time to be jealous of one another. We're not trying to outdo each other. We're all just trying to be a better version of ourselves. And we want to bring somebody else along the way. So that's what Sister I Got You is. That's the concept behind it. We don't want to compete with each other. We want to connect with one another. And you guys, last week I stepped on my toes. I hope I stepped on your toes with our topic. You co-signed on it, sis. A lot of times we want to blame everybody else for things that have happened in our life. But when you become spiritually mature, when you really start growing up in God, and I'm not talking about your birthday number, because there's plenty of people my age that act like they're 25, 30. They have the maturity of a 30-year-old. I'm talking about when you really want to improve yourself, when you really, hey Kristen, when you really want to be a better version of yourself, it starts with looking at that man in the mirror. It starts with looking at, how did I get myself into this? And it starts by accepting your part in every situation that's happened in your life. So I hope y'all got something out of. You co-signed on it, sis. That is still on the page. You can watch it later if you missed it. You can get on the YouTube page, Encouraged and Empowered to Win with Karen Bailey. Sister I Got You. We got a YouTube page, you guys. So send people to the YouTube page if they don't have Facebook. We want to reach as many people as we can, because we just want to keep growing. We want to keep being better, and we want to keep learning how to love one another. Some of this is a learning process, because some of you may not even have a sister or a sibling, but you can grow to learn how to do anything you want to do. And I want to see women be more unified. And a lot of times we've been hurt. by other women. We've had other women be jealous of us. We've had other women do things to purposely hurt us. So it's hard to learn to trust again. But you know what? In heaven, there's not going to be any segregation. And God says we have to love our enemies just like we love our friends, just like we love our family, just like we love Him. So what better practice ground than Sister I Got You? This is where we're learning to forgive. This is where we're learning to move past that petty stuff and just understand that people do people stuff. And sometimes people make mistakes. And you have to learn to forgive one another. You guys, let's go ahead and get started for today, because you know I do not like to keep y'all long, because most of y'all work and we tired. We want to eat. We got other stuff to do. So let's get into it. So our topic today is called Take the Lid Off. You know, I saw a picture of this guy taking a lid off a jar the other day, and God just dropped this in my spirit. You know, sometimes we psychologically put a lid or a limit on our lives. Hey, Sandra, a lid or a limit on our life because of, one, past experiences. Sometimes things can happen in your past that hurt you so much. Things that happen in your past shake your confidence so much. You don't even want to try anymore. You don't want to be hurt anymore. You don't want to give people the benefit of the doubt anymore. Trust me, I get that. I know what those hurts and those pains feel like. But there is some point in your life when you have to be willing to say, I don't want to live like this anymore. Hey, Yolanda. Hey, Shawana. Hey, Chicken Wang. You know, there has to be a point in your life when you have to say, you know what? I'm tired of living in fear. I'm tired of worrying about who's going to hurt me, who's going to betray me, you know, who's not for me. You have to get past those things if you want to live your best life, you know, because at the end of the day, when you look back, them folks ain't thinking about you. And then you will have wasted all this time just trying to play it safe simply because you're afraid of trusting somebody because the last person you trust betrayed you. Simply, we trust the wrong people. Sometimes we don't use our discernment. Sometimes we don't pray about the people in our circle, you guys. You know, and so when you don't do that, a lot of times we set ourselves up for failure. So we've got to learn to move a different way. We've got to learn to incorporate God in every last one of our relationships. Ask God to show us. You know, ask God to show us people. Hey, Nancy, and God will do it. Ask God to protect you. Ask God to cover you in His blood. You know, ask God to show you when something in your spirit is not right. Ask Him to show you who's doing what, and He'll do it. But a lot of times we don't ask God. We go to God after everything has happened, when we're already broken, when we're hurt and we're sad and we're disappointed. That's okay to do that, but why don't we try going to God before any of that happens? And we can prevent a lot of things that happen in our lives. And I like this topic, take the lid off. You know, and like I say, we get the lid put on sometimes because of how we were raised. You know, sometimes you're not raised in an environment that encourages you to get out there, try new things. Some people, and I can also say the family that I was raised in, you know, they put limits on us because of our skin color, because of our economic level. You know, they were always telling, well, you can't do this, you can't do that. That's for rich people. That's for white people. Blah, blah, blah. I heard that stuff my whole life, you guys. So sometimes you're raised in an environment that puts a lid on your life. And until you get out and see the world for yourself and you realize that, okay, that was not true. I can do that. All I have to do is put my mind to it. All I have to do is put in the work. You know, sometimes people can't see past where they are. You know, they can't see that you can move forward and you can do better than they are. And sometimes that's just that old slave mindset. You know, everybody's like, you know, don't get in trouble. Don't do this. Don't go over there. You know, they're so caught up in what was that they can't see what's in front of them, that there's opportunities in front of them. And they've always got an excuse. Somebody's always holding them down. But guess what? The only person that was holding them down was them. And sometimes we're raised in that environment and we have to break out of that and get away from our family. Hey, Sean, and get away from our family sometimes, because sometimes they're holding us back with their opinions of what they think we can and cannot do. So sometimes our family even puts a lid on us. And then because of past hurt and past pain, like I said before, you were disappointed. You put all your effort into something and it failed. Or you put all your trust in somebody and they said they were going to do something and they didn't come through. Sometimes that breaks your spirit. And sometimes people don't get over that. But you have to decide if that's how you want to live. Because if that's where you want to live, God will leave you there. But when you make up your mind that you're not happy with the existence that you have, you're not happy being scared all the time, you're not happy watching everybody else move forward and try new things, and you're sitting back over in the corner just afraid of what can happen, you have to make up your mind to be courageous. You have to make up your mind that you got to trust God. You know, so many things in my life I'm having to do now, I'm having to do them even though I'm afraid. And I thank God for just opening my eyes to the fact that I was my own limitation. I had the lid on my life. And just like I put the lid on my life, guess what? I can take the lid off. And so can you. And I was watching a video with Steve Harvey. He was doing a encouragement seminar, and he talked about a flea. You know, that a flea can jump up to 3 feet off the ground. And he talked about if you put a flea in a jar, then that flea is going to jump, but he's not going to be able to do 3 feet. He's just going to jump and hit the lid. But over time, if you leave him in that jar, he'll adapt and he'll stop jumping that high. And that's how we are. That's the things of life that we allow to weigh us down and put a lid on us. You know, you were excited before, you were jumping high before, but something hurt you. Something broke you. Somebody betrayed you. And so now you're not jumping like you used to because you don't want to bump your head anymore. Life is about making mistakes, dusting yourself off, and trying again. That's the only way to live an abundant life. You've got to learn to make mistakes, and you've got to be okay with making mistakes. So this is what we want to talk about today, and how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your abilities makes all the difference in the world. And the lid that I'm talking about serves as an imaginary line or a wall that some of us put up as a means of protection. While this is not always a bad thing, it is bad as long as you keep that lid on and you never take it off. Sometimes you need a time of refreshing. Sometimes you need to limit what you do. You need to limit the people that can get next to you. Sometimes you need to limit where you go, simply because you need a time of refreshing. You spun yourself out. You've been doing too much. And sometimes God will sit you down and he'll isolate you and say, okay, you need to calm yourself down. You need to sit yourself down. You out here, you doing way too much. So sometimes God will allow you to put that lid on, but he doesn't mean for it to stay. The lid is only meant to give us a time to refresh, to rethink, and it's there to protect us from our own unholy desires. Because a lot of times we want whatever we see. And that's only human. Children do it too. Nobody has to teach you to want what you see. From the time children are babies, they're reaching for stuff. Every time they see something they like, they reach it, they want to touch it. We're the same way, but sometimes that's how we get in trouble. Hey, Daryl. Sometimes that's how we get in trouble, because we want everything that we see. And God has to sometimes put a lid on us because we don't realize that we're not ready for everything that we're reaching for. So the lid is there just temporarily, and it's okay as long as it doesn't keep you from growing or stretching or living your full potential. Now, when it's there for protection, it's there to limit your movement so you can reevaluate and figure out what's important in your life. You know, have you ever been doing so much that you just got your whole life out of order and you just really don't know what happened? You don't know how it got to the point that it is, simply because you need to slow down, sit down somewhere, and start reevaluating your life and realize who's important in your life. You can't be friends with everybody, you guys. You can't let everybody in your inner circle. You need to figure out, as you grow in your different seasons in life, everybody can't come with you. That doesn't mean you don't love them. That don't mean that you don't like them. That just means that they don't have a purpose for the season that you're in. And there's nothing wrong with that, because same thing for you. When people start separating themselves for you, let them. Simply because don't hinder them from growing. And don't let anybody hinder you, making you feel bad for staying in a place that you've outgrown. And I used to be that person. I would stay because I never wanted to hurt anybody's feelings. And it kept a lid on my life. And it kept me in a certain place for too long. And now that I'm a little bit older, now I understand that God means for people to come in and out of your life. There is nothing wrong with that. Society told us to get an attitude about that. Society told us to be mad about that. God never told us to be upset when people move in and out of your life. Life is fluid. It's always moving. So it stands to reason that people are going to be there, and then people are going to outgrow you, and you're going to outgrow them. That's the natural cycle of life. But we've allowed social media and just the ways of the world to make us think there's something wrong if somebody leaves us. If somebody moves on, then everybody's being jealous. Oh, she thinks she got it going on. Oh, she thinks she better than us. Society taught us that. God didn't give us that. God didn't put that in our spirit. You have to think about where those things came from. Okay? Sometimes God allows us to put the lid on temporarily to help us focus and block out distractions. Like I said, we like what we like. Sometimes we are our own worst enemy. Everything that glitters is not gold, you guys. I have found that out the hard way. Just because it looks good, just because it talks good, does not mean that it's good for you. It does not mean that. So ask God to start showing you who's real and who's counterfeit. Because a lot of times it looks so much alike. It's like a cubic zirconia and a diamond put together. You got to know what you're looking at to be able to tell the difference. If you're not looking through the eyes of God, the eyes that God gave you, that spirit, then you're going to fall for the cubic zirconia every time. So start asking God to help you be able to see what he wants you to see and be able to tell the real from the fake. Okay? The lid is meant to temporarily, not for a long period of times. It's to temporarily help us to remember, God is in control. Sometimes when we got things going and we going left and right, doing this, doing that, we forget about God. Sometimes God has to put a lid on our life to remind you of how you got to where you are. Remember me, thank me. I'm the reason that you have what you have. I'm the reason that you're able to have the abilities that you have. Sometimes God have to check us sometimes because we get beside ourselves. And I've done that before, and I felt guilty about that. And I'm like, God, everything that I am, everything that I do, is because of you. Anything that's good in me, it didn't have nothing to do with me. And I'm learning to acknowledge and give that to God. Sometimes my patients, they always say, Karen, why is your spirit the way that it is? You just always kind. You just make me feel better even before the doctor comes in. I said, you know what? I take no credit. I said, because all I'm doing is waking up being grateful. And everything else pours out after that. I don't even have to try. Because when you wake up, like I said last week, wake up with a grateful spirit. You will be amazed when you are sincerely grateful how much starts to pour out of you. And it's contagious. It pours out onto other people. Because you don't know who you're going to meet today. You don't know who is going to come your way that's fallen by the wayside or down in the dumps or feeling like, taking their life. You just don't know. So you've got to make sure that you have your spirit where it needs to be before you step out your door. And you first of all need to make sure you have your spirit right in your own house. Because it makes no sense to go out there and help other people and you mean to people in your own household. Or you don't care about the feelings or what's going on with people in your own household. So you take care of your own house first, and then you go out and encourage other people. Then you go out and show love to other people. But don't you dare go out there treating everybody better, because I've been a victim of that. I had a husband that treated everybody better, but then coming to the house, he was a totally different animal. And I made myself a promise I'm going to make sure my house is right first. If my house ain't right, I'm not leaving it until I get it right. You're not going to tell me you don't feel like talking. I didn't allow my children to tell me they didn't feel like talking. I didn't allow them to tell me ain't nothing wrong and you walking around moping, looking like you mad at the world. No, I'm going to come in here and sit on your bed. And if you don't want me in your room all night, then you better start talking, because that's how important it is to me. Those are those little foxes. Those are those little things that you have to nip in the bud, because they turn into bigger things when you ignore it. And same thing with your marriages. Don't ignore when your wife is acting different. Pay attention to how people move. Pay attention to people's patterns. People show you on the outside that something's wrong before they show you on the inside. We just don't pay attention. We don't care enough. We don't love enough. So we've got to do better about that, okay? And then ask yourself, am I repeating the same habits every day but expecting different outcomes? You know, sometimes we wonder why our day is like it is. What did you do when you first got up? You know, maybe you started your day off wrong with something you did that morning. You know, we're always quick to blame everybody else, but we never want to see ourselves. So ask yourself, am I repeating the same patterns and expecting something different? If it's not working, like I said last week, stop doing it. If it ain't working for you, it ain't working for you. No sense in keep doing it and going through the same day over and over again. Sad, disappointed, upset. Do something different. It's time to make some changes. In other words, don't get comfortable with the lid on your life. There's a whole big world out there. All you have to do is be willing to get out there, be willing to feel what you need to feel, and understand that, yeah, you will get hurt sometime. That's part of life. And don't put so much trust in everybody. You got to understand, people are people. And people are going to do people stuff. People are going to betray you. People are going to lie to you. They're going to do all of that. Quit putting people on a pedestal that's too high for them. A lot of people can't achieve where you're putting them. They didn't ask you to put them there. We put people up way too high. We don't make people earn our trust. We don't make people spend enough time around us for us to get to know them. You know, we done been hanging around with you 2 times and we think we BFF. No, you're not my best friend. We ain't had enough time. We ain't had enough time in this. I need to see how you are, you know, spring, summer, winter, fall. You might have an attitude in the summer. Who knows? But we need to invest in one another. That means we got to take the time to do what we need to do. And we've got to let the lid off of our life. So how do we begin to take the lid off and open ourselves up to new possibilities and new experience? Okay, let's go. Number 1, wash your face. And I used to say this to myself all the time because I was going through some crazy stuff. And I had to remind myself to wash my face. That meant wash off the pain of today. Wash off the anxiety of today. Wash off whatever didn't go wrong. Wash that off of you. Take a minute. Wash your face. Look at yourself in the mirror and start speaking words of affirmation over yourself. Remind yourself that you are the head and not the tail. Remind yourself that you are above and not beneath. Remind yourself that you are more than a conqueror. Remind yourself that God is for you and he's fighting for you, and there's nothing that the enemy can do to harm you. You have to talk to yourself. 9 times out of 10, you don't have nobody standing over you, coaching you and cheering you on. You have got to learn to encourage yourself. That's how you wash your face. Washing your face is letting go of whatever. Hey, Roderick, whatever happened that day. Letting go of that unforgiveness, you guys. You know, some of us want to hold on to it. And I understand why God says, don't let the sun go down on your wrath. You don't know if you're going to live tomorrow. You want to die with that animosity in your heart and miss God? I don't. So therefore, you need to learn how to forgive people before you lay down and go to sleep. Your spouses, the people in your house, your children. Don't go to bed. Don't go to bed mad at them, and then something happened to them, and the next thing you know, you leaning over the casket, trying to get in the casket with them. No, you should have forgave them and enjoyed the time that you had with them, because we all got a number. We all got a time. So it's better to squash that stuff so you can have peace in your home. Because when you walk around with animosity in your home, it's like having some Swiss cheese. You got holes everywhere, and guess who coming in? The enemy's coming. He inviting his cousin, his second cousin, his class reunion folks. Everybody's coming into your house, and then you're going to wonder why your house is in such disarray, because you allowed the openings. You have got to keep your home covered in love. That's the only thing that's going to defeat the enemy is love. That's the only thing stronger than him is love, because God is love. So you've got to make up your mind that it's not worth it for me to leave all these holes and gaps. That's how extramarital affairs happen. That's how kids get out there and get in gangs and get on drugs and stuff. There's holes everywhere in your home, and you're not doing anything about plugging those things up. You're part of the problem. And until you are willing to face that, you're going to always have issues. You need to make it your job. No matter what has happened in your house, we're going to come together. We're going to get this right, because I'm not leaving any gaps for the enemy to come in. My family is too important to me. God gave me my family. It is my job to protect my family. Men, it is your job to protect your family. And women, if you're a single parent, or you're a single woman, it's your job to protect the family within your home. You have got to do your part and stop letting the enemy just run rampant in your life. Number 2, set goals that line up with God's will for your life. If it's God's will for your life, you know what? Most of the time, you don't even realize it, but whatever God is purposing in your life, you've already been doing it. It's already been in your heart. It's already in your character. God just amplifies it when you start walking in your purpose. So make sure your goals line up with God's will. And if you're not sure about it, pray about it and say, God, I want to do what you want me to do. Forget what everybody else says. Forget about chasing after money. Forget about the nice house, the nice cars. Tell me what your will is for my life, and help me stay on the path so that I'm doing what you want me to do, so that you're going to be pleased, so that you're going to get the glory out of it. So you have to set goals that line up with God's will for your life. And the only way to do that is to talk to God and build your relationship with God. Number 3, you need to dream bigger than what's going on in your life right now. If you can accomplish it right now, it's not a dream. It's not big enough. If I can do it today with the money I got in the bank account, or with the people that I have around me for support, then my dream is not big enough. A dream has to be something that's so out there. People don't have to understand it. People don't have to like it. You don't need nobody to co-sign on your dream. But you've got to be able to believe in yourself and believe that God wants that for you. And you've got to start dreaming bigger than what you have right now. Because God said that Jesus was sent to give us life and life more abundantly. That means bigger than what you're doing right now. Jesus didn't die for this, what we got right now. Hey, Teresa, he's got something bigger for all of us, but you've got to be the one that's willing to chase after your dream. It's not going to just fall in your lap. And then you need to learn to break your dream down into small, achievable goals. And then set a time limit. Quit giving yourself so much slack. Don't set goals and say, okay, by next year, I'm going to do this. Do you know how many things can happen between now and the word next year? No, give yourself a set time to get this done, a set time to get that done. And then work towards your goal, work towards your dream. And number 3, you got to make up your mind to be uncomfortable. When you're chasing after your dreams, you can't hang out like you used to. You can't just lay around and watch TV. You got stuff to do. You got people to see. You got moves to make. You ain't got time for all of that mediocre stuff. So you got to make up your mind that it's okay to be uncomfortable because I'm chasing after something. It's okay to be uncomfortable because at the end of it all, it's going to be all worth it. And number 4, Learn to commit to your goals, even in the face of opposition. It's nothing like somebody, you sharing your dream with somebody and they try to tell you all the reasons why you can't do it. We have got to learn to shut our mouths because everybody's not ready to see you shine. Some people like you right where you are because they don't feel threatened by you. Hey, Corey, they don't feel threatened by you. If you get too far ahead of them, then they start feeling threatened. They start feeling like, oh, she's better than me. And that's really not the truth. What it is you've got to catch on to what I'm doing. If you see me moving forward, move with me. You ain't got to be jealous of me. Move with me. Move towards your stuff too. And that way we can cheer each other on. That's the thing that we don't understand. We are so worried about somebody outdoing us. And it's not even about that. It's about us outdoing ourselves. Hey, Miss Dorothea, we need to be working on outdoing ourselves, not outdoing one another. And sometimes you need that person to say, I see you. I see you, Karen. Keep it going, girl. You doing it. You doing it. And you need to be able to do that for somebody else and not be jealous and not be worrying about if they've got something better than you. Oh, they're driving a better car than you. So what? That's their portion. Hey, Sonia, that may not be your portion. So stop worrying so much about trying to keep a lid on people. Take the lid off your life and y'all move forward together because we're supposed to be iron sharpening iron. So that means when I move, you move. Come on, girl. I'm moving, you move. Come on. I move, you move. That's how things happen. That's how we grow greater together. Not by worrying about who's doing what, not by talking about one another, not trying to sabotage one another. Let me moving motivate you to move. Maybe you didn't think about, the dreams that you had in the past, but then when you see me chasing after mine, you're like, you know what? I always wanted to do blah, blah, blah. And I'm going to say to you, I'm like, girl, do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Go for it. Do it. Let me know what I can do to help you. That's the mindset we need to have. Number 5, we need to work on your mindset. I segued right into that. You must develop a growth mindset. And a growth mindset says that there's a belief that people's intelligence and abilities can change and grow. That means that who I am right now. It's not my best version of me. There's more inside of me. There's more I can do. I haven't even tapped into half the stuff I can do. And I'm thanking God for that because I'm learning to say those things about myself. And you have to look a little crazy sometimes. And it's okay. You have to remind yourself, I got one life to live. How am I going to live it? Am I going to be boring? Am I going to be safe? Am I going to be mediocre? Or I'm going to give it all I got while I can? And you have to decide to take the lid off. But that growth mindset says that people can change, that you can grow, but you've got to want to. Number 6, motivate yourself by celebrating your progress. Don't wait until the big thing happens. Celebrate the small victories. Those small victories keep you on track. Because if I do good over here and I see that I mastered that, I'm ready to go to the next thing. It's like giving me an energy shot. I'm so excited that I got that done. Come on with the rest of it. Let's go. I'm ready to go to the next phase. But that's what happens when you celebrate yourself. Don't wait for other people to pat you on the back. So many times in life, I was one of those young women that I just needed somebody to pat me on the back and tell me I was doing a good job. Hey, Tasha. But God had to show me that you don't need other people to tell you who you are. And it took me a long time to realize that people are flaky. One minute they love you, next minute they talking about you. But he had to remind me that everything that I need in my life to be successful is already deep down inside of me. I got to be willing to tap into it. I got to be willing to turn my ear from the naysayers and stop putting my business out there and taking on everybody's opinion. Everybody is not for you. Everybody that's got something to say and say, girl, I just don't want to see anything bad happen. Go on with that. That's God's job to protect me. Go on with that. because a lot of times there's a little dig in there, something that's trying to hold you back. So you have to be careful about people's motives. It's not always in love. Number 7, learn along the way. Let no experience be a waste. This is what fueled me to start Sister I Got You, because I remembered all the experiences from being a young lady, all the things that I went through, and I was feeling so bad. I was like, I just feel like I wasted so much time. I shouldn't have even been here, been there, been with that person, done this, done that. And God said, no experience is a waste unless you allow it to be. And when I really got that in my spirit, Sister I Got You was born. And then when I really got it in my spirit, then Talk About It Thursdays was born. And I want to say, I believe we're on year 3 of Talk About It Thursday. So I'm not letting anything I went through, whether bad, good, ugly, embarrassing, I'm not letting the devil have none of that. God's going to get the glory out of every turn that I took, whether it looked right to you, or somebody is saying, how can she do that? This, that, and the other. It don't matter. Everything in your life that has happened for a reason. Sometimes it was to teach you a lesson. Sometimes it was to grow you up. And I think a lot of things happened in my life to toughen me because I was a people pleaser. A lot of it was to make me disconnect from people that didn't mean me any good. A lot of it was to stop worrying about the opinions of my family, concerning me, and letting them control where my life goes. There's reasons for it. Everything that you've gone through. So don't let any experience, no matter how bad it is. And that's why it's not good to sit around being ashamed of your past. Your past is the past. There's nothing you can do to change it, but you can use what happened in your past to help somebody else now. But you got to let that shame go. You got to let all of that condemnation go. When you get in your word and realize that there is no condemnation in Christ, baby, you can't talk to me about nothing I did in the past. You can't talk to me about how many times I've been married. You can't talk to me about my choices. You can't talk to me about a lot of stuff, because God has already forgiven me for all of that. So now I'm going to take that experience to try to help somebody else, and try to help somebody else keep from making some of the mistakes that I made. Okay? And then number 8, use every bad experience as a stepping stone, and let it fuel you to move forward. Get mad about some stuff. I had to get mad at the devil about some stuff, because some stuff you can just see the enemy working in your life. And you be like, how did I not recognize what he was doing? You know what? Get mad and use that to fuel you forward. Use that to say, you know what? You got me that time, but you won't get me there again. Start heightening your discernment. God, don't let me be fooled in the same way again. Make sure I don't move too fast. And that was me in relationships. I wanted to have that family. I wanted to be in love. And a lot of times the enemy will play with you when he knows you've got a heart and a desire to be connected to somebody else, to have a soulmate. Sometimes he'll play with you and let people come in your life that don't mean you any good. And then if you don't have a strong spirit of discernment, you'll think it's God. And you'll start saying, oh, well, God sent this person that. And then when all hell breaks loose and you realize, okay, that was not God in the first place. That was the enemy. He made me think that this was real when it was truly counterfeit. Hey, Christopher. Okay, so use every bad experience as a stepping stone and let it fuel you. Get mad at the devil. Let it push you forward to be better. What was meant for my harm, God, you turned it around for my good. Remind yourself, everything that the enemy stole from you, God will give it back to you. But you've got to be the one to move forward. You've got to be the one that said, you know what? I'm not dwelling in no sadness. I'm not feeling bad about myself. I'm going to keep it pushing. I'm going to keep it moving forward. That's how you get back what the enemy stole from you, because his job was to break you, discourage you, break your spirit, turn you away from God. And when he has not done that, you start getting those things back. When you decide, you know what, I still got a lot of life to live. I know God loves me. I know God is for me. Then you start getting your strength back. You start getting your courage back. You start holding your head up. The enemy, he's losing when you do that. He only wins when you're down and depressed and feeling hopeless about your life and not willing to move on and not being happy. But as long as you decide that I'm moving forward, I'm not going to let my past hold me back, God will restore everything that the enemy took from you. More times, he gives you back better than what you ever had in the first place. Hey, Diana. So next, number 9, like I said before, pray for discernment, because people are good with that lip service. People know how to look good and people know how to talk good. You are going to have to get some discernment in your life. I am asking God, I know in my life, to show me quickly when somebody ain't right. I don't care if that's a man, that's a woman, co-worker, whatever. Show me quickly. Let me feel it in my spirit quick, because I tend to get attached to people. I tend to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And that's what has gotten me hurt so much in the past. So I'm asking God now, I don't care how good he look. I don't care how friendly she is. I don't care what door she can open for me. If she's not right, or if he's not right, show me early, so my heart doesn't get involved, so that I don't accidentally slide over to the other side and start making excuses. Y'all know how we do when we want somebody so bad. It's just a little bit. He don't mean no harm. He just like that. He ain't really mean. I done said all that stuff. He ain't really mean. He ain't really antisocial. He didn't really mean it like that. We start making excuses. So you have to make up your mind that you're going to draw a line in the sand, and that you don't want people playing with your emotions and your feelings. So you're going to have to ask God to discern those things for you and give you a spirit that says, something ain't right with these people. And then you're going to have to be obedient and leave those people alone. Because it's one thing to feel that something's not right, but it's a whole different animal for you to get away from it and cut people out of your life and end conversations and things so that you don't get hurt. That choice is going to be up to you. And then ask God to show you people very quickly, like I said before. And then ask God to show you when to hold on and when to let go. Whether that's people, whether that's your job, whether that's the area that you live in. Ask God to show you, when it's time for you to make a move, and when it's time for you to let people walk out of your life, and when it's time for you to walk out of somebody else's life. Sometimes we have been in a toxic situation so long, we done got so used to it, guys, and it takes somebody from the outside to say, girl, are you okay? Does he always talk to you like that? Does he always grab your arm like that? Does he always disrespect you like that? Sometimes it takes somebody on the outside. And do they always, work you like this? Are you always this stressed? Are you always this overwhelmed? Sometimes you have to hear somebody else's voice to remind you you're in a toxic environment. Because sometimes you had just learned, like I said, that flea Steve Harvey was talking about before. Sometimes we learn to adapt to our lid. And that's never been where God wanted us to be. God always wanted us to be free. But sometimes we just get settled in and we just decide it's just easier to stay. I don't want to start over. It's too hard. We make all kinds of excuses for not leaping. And I am the world's worst. That's the old me. But for a long time, that was me. It was just easier for me to just hang in there and stay. And if I could turn back time, I'd have ran when God showed me it was time to go. But you live and you learn. Okay? And then you have to make a move that alters your tomorrow. If you're tired of doing the same old thing, getting the same results, you got to be bold and make a bold move to change your life. Things are not just going to happen because you sit there and wish for them to happen. You're going to have to make a bold move to make a change if you want your tomorrow to change. Number 10, if you fail to achieve a dream, don't give up. Just make up another dream. Come up with something else and then go after it. Don't ever let yourself stop dreaming. Sometimes, something we dream, maybe we thought we wanted it back when we were in our 20s. But now that we're in our 50s, that dream doesn't line out anymore. And it makes no sense to try to work on a dream that you've outgrown, that you're too mature for. So you have to be careful of that too. Don't try to live in the past. Live where you are now and move forward. Okay? And I hope that makes sense. Number 11, when life gives you 100 reasons to break down and cry, show life that you have 1,000 reasons to smile. We all have so much to be grateful for. And I know things happen, you guys, and I'm the world's worst. Tears will fall. But you know what? God has done something new in me to where even though I've cried about it, if I can get my praise on, God will start showing me what is going right. God will start showing me that he's already working in the situation. And that's the difference between letting life deal with you and you deal with life. You have got to be on top of things. Don't let things get on top of you. Yes, there are temporary setbacks. Yes, it's disappointing. Yes, it's hurtful. But it's not the end. It's not the end. Tomorrow is coming. So you have to make up your mind if you're going to drag all that old stuff with you day after day after day, or if you're going to go in your room, wash your face, get a good night's sleep, and start over. Because sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes you move too fast and you just need to rethink things, and you just need to get a good night's rest so you can think better. Number 12, a strong will, good planning, and a relentless pursuit are amongst the most important keys to success. Nobody succeeds without putting in the work. Everybody wants to take shortcuts. They want it tomorrow. But you know what? Everything in my life that I've gotten quickly never lasted. Everything in my life that I've gotten without God has never lasted. And God is a God of patience. God is a God of timing. So therefore, you're going to have to learn some patience in your life. And that means you may have to work a little bit longer. You may have to, put in the work in the beginning. It may take years before you see the benefit of something. But if God has put it in your heart to do it, do it. Everything is not always about money, you guys. Sometimes God is taking what he's having you do, and you think you're helping somebody else, and God is in turn doing something brand new in you that you don't even realize. And I told somebody the other day, I said, sister, I got you, and talk about it Thursdays. I said, I know I'm putting all that out to them. I said, but every time I pour out, God is pouring right back in. I feel him filling up. It's like I can't get it out fast enough because he's got more that he's putting inside me. And I never give out more than God gives me back. And so you have to live your life on purpose. You have to live your life understanding. Don't chase after money. Don't chase after what the world chases after. And I know I sound like I'm preaching, but a lot of times people have this false sense of what happiness is, a false sense of what joy is. And when you have ever experienced real joy and realize it don't have nothing to do with material things, then those things don't mean as much to you. But until you've experienced real joy, true happiness, the kind of happiness that brings tears that you can't even hold on to, hey Gaius, then you're going to chase after those things because somewhere in your life you're empty. But when God fills up that empty space, it don't take much to keep you happy. It don't take much to keep a smile on your face. You're just grateful for everything. And number 13, if you really want to succeed, you must stop wasting time. Your time is your wealth. Stop wasting time with people that's not doing anything with their life. I don't care if they're family. I don't care if they're friends. Because people love to help you waste time. Because you ain't done no better, they ain't done no better. And everybody's cool with that. But you shouldn't be comfortable looking back over your life and seeing that you're in the same place you were in 5 years ago, 10 years ago, that you haven't moved forward, you hadn't grown at all. Something has to change in your life. You need to make a bold move. You need to get out from around something that's keeping you stagnant. Hey, Michael, and a lot of times it's us. It's our old habits. It's our being lazy. It's our wanting to be comfortable all the time. So you have to decide if you're going to keep wasting time or if you're going to learn to respect time, because you can't get it back. Whatever time you had today and you didn't do what you need to do, that time is gone. All you've got is what you've got left. Time is your wealth. Time is your wealth, and your health is your wealth. Those are two things you cannot play with, because you'll never be as young as you were yesterday, and you'll never get the time back 5 minutes ago. You'll never get that back. So you have to learn to appreciate that and understand that's what life is all about. That's the true wealth. It's not money. It's not all this material stuff. But God has to open your eyes to that for you to truly understand that. And 14, constantly remind yourself that you are not where you need to be. You have got to be the person that's in your face challenging you. Be your own competitor. Be your own sparring partner. You don't need nobody to spar with you. Spar with yourself. Hit yourself upside the head and say, you know what? What'd you do today? Why you didn't get on top of this? Why are you wasting time? You have to be the one that competes with yourself. Nobody else in this world is worth competing with more than you. You should be competing to be a better version of you. And I'm just realizing that's what it's all about. It's just about being better. It's about growing. It's about learning how to love better, learning how to forgive, learning just to enjoy the simple things in life. And I'm glad that God is opening my eyes to those things while I'm still young. Because a lot of times people don't realize that until they're way past retirement age, and when their youth is almost gone or already gone. So I thank God just for the fact that He's allowing me to see those things at still a young age to where I can make some necessary changes. Okay? Number 15, you must have courage to move or act in this life. It's not easy, especially when you're moving and going to do something you've never done before. It's scary because nobody wants to fail, but you know what? Failure ain't never hurt nobody. Failure is one of those things that will teach you how to do things the right way. If you fail, then it gives you a new mindset if you keep going. Now, if you fail and you just lay there, then that's on you. But if you fall and you get back up, you won't do things the same. You're going to grow from the failures, but nobody likes to fail. And then life will, if you decide not to move, life will somehow put a situation in your life to make you have to move one way or the other. So you have to decide who's in control, because things are always going to happen in life. Nothing stays the same, you guys. Nothing is forever. Nothing stays the same. So either you can make moves or life can make moves on you, and you have to move. You don't have no choice, but you ought to be trying to make some moves for yourself. And then 16, take a chance. Don't always play it safe. 17, believe in yourself and have faith in your abilities. Work hard and don't fail because you decided to be lazy. Don't fail because you weren't committed to your dream, because you'll always regret that, and then you'll live in a life of regret. 18, don't avoid the pain. Life is painful, you guys. Process the pain and learn from it. Those are the experiences we're supposed to be sharing with one another. But everybody's so secretive. Everybody don't want you to know, that, I lost this job, or, my house was repossessed, or my car was repossessed, or I was out there on drugs, or I was this. Everybody's trying to keep their little secrets. But somebody always knows something about your life, that you don't want them to know. So why not use that? To strengthen you. Why not use the things that have happened in your life, whether bad or good, to help somebody else? Because once you process it and once you learn from it, it doesn't hurt as much when you talk about it. There's a lot of things in my life that I used to talk about, and tears just used to fall. But then when I learned to process the pain and stop avoiding how bad it hurt me, and accept that and deal with the pain, and learn from it and try to do better next time, it doesn't hurt as much, and the tears don't fall as much. Number 19, remember you can always reinvent your life. As long as you got breath in your body, you can reinvent your life. But you must put all your energy into it or you'll fall back into those old habits. Number 20, discipline yourself. Wake up early, pass on hanging out, just doing frivolous stuff. Run towards your dream. Get focused on your life. If you're trying to get somewhere by a certain time, it's going to take commitment and it's going to take sacrifice and it's going to take focus. 21, don't wait for things to happen. Make them happen. If you don't understand how to get from point A to point B, research it, figure it out, talk to people that have already done it. Learn from other people that are ahead of you. You can't learn nothing from somebody that's behind you. Learn from the person that's going the direction you're trying to go. 22, it can either be day one or one day. That's up to you. You make up your mind. If you wake up in the morning, you say, this is day one. I'm chasing after my dreams. Or you say, oh, one day I'm going to do that. So that's totally up to you. That's your mindset. You have to decide that the time is now to pursue whatever you're trying to do because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. And sitting around waiting and saying one day, you don't know where you're going to be one day. You don't know what kind of shape you're going to be in. You don't know what kind of shape your mind is going to be in one day. While you've got the activity of your limbs, a sound mind, and a body that works, you better go on and do what you need to do. And 23, do it just for you. Don't do nothing for nobody else. Karen had to learn that everything I do it just for me. Because when you look for applause from other people, you are guaranteeing to be disappointed. People will applaud for you just enough to get your confidence up, and then they will drop you like a bad habit. That's why you got to do things just for you, not to impress anybody. I don't try to impress nobody. Not to make somebody love you, not to make yourself look more attractive so a certain type of man will want to be with you. Don't do that. If you're going to work out, if you're going to carry yourself a certain way, do it for you. That way the man or woman that comes up to you know they got to step it up. No, they can't come over here half-stepping with that old mediocre stuff. Let them know that you expect excellence, that you expect the best that they have to offer. And then do it for you, not to draw more attention to yourself or to attract a group of people. And even when you're afraid, do it anyway. Even when you have no support, do it anyway. And my final thought is, when we keep a lid on our life, we limit how far we can go. And we limit how much we can achieve in life. God has put so much in each and every one of us, but if we choose to limit ourselves, He'll allow it. When you take the lid off, you can open your mind and imagination, and because you are courageous, because it takes courage, especially when you've been hurt, when you're afraid, when people have let you down, it's hard to take that lid off, but you got to make up your mind you're going to do it anyway. And instead of living in fear, you realize that there's no limit to what you can do. So like I said before, so who put the lid on your life? You did. So who can take the lid off? You can. Thank you guys for watching. Love you guys. And I am looking forward to the weekend. You guys be safe. And we will see you next week on Talk About It Thursdays. Y'all have a great night. Bye.